Everybody, thanks for having us out here. We are PPL. This is our live line exhibit. We go around to all our 29 counties that we serve. Our main audience is you folks. We just like to talk obviously about the dangers of electricity and stuff like that. So a little bit about it. Has anybody seen our exhibit before? Couple. All right, cool. Did you see our old, have you seen the new trailer yet?
The old one.
The old one. All right, great. The old one. Difference between the old one and new one? My people that have seen it? Solar panels, right? The old one had the generator. Loud generator, turn it on, and would fire up the trailer here to 7,200 volts. Actually, what we're doing right now is with these two solar panels, and in this box right here, we have 4 lithium-ion batteries. And that allows us to fire up this trailer to our single phase 7,200 volts, just with those batteries, okay? We'll talk a little bit about solar panels as we go through the presentation, but a little bit about the trailer. On either end, we have our overhead transformers. Anybody know the job of the overhead transformer? It takes the high voltage and steps it down to the low voltage, to your basic surface wire that goes into your residential property. Okay, so over here on our left-hand side, we have 3 wires up above. That is our 3-phase. That's 12,500 volts. And over here we have our single phase, which is 7,200 volts. Coming down the pole, we have our system neutral. Number one question we get asked is, can that line be energized? It absolutely can, okay? And as we go through the presentation, we'll explain how that can happen. Center device here where Ryan's at, big green box, is our underground transformers. We have 7,200 volts coming in, 7,200 volts coming out, and on the service bays we can have up to 9 services in any one transformer. Okay, I heard some gentlemen talking about as we were rolling up, there's an important number you must call if you do detect any underground facilities, and there's the number that you must call if you're doing any kind of excavating, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. We have fusing up above. It's color coded for presentation purposes only. Center device that we have right here in the middle is our trip saver. We'll talk about a little bit about that as we go on with the presentation as well. The only thing we do not have on our system, that's out on our system, that's not on our trailer, is our big green box, which we call a Viper. Our Viper is for our 3-phase system. Poles, transformers, you can see there's numbers on them. Those are grid numbers. Those are important to us. Okay, so if you're in the middle of nowhere, you got a down tree or a pole that's knocked over, we ask that you get to the safest pole that you can access and give us that 10-digit number. Okay, you give us that 10-digit number, that allows our dispatch to get our crews to where they need to be. It actually can be converted into a GPS, longitude and latitude. I don't know how to do that. My boss does. He's not here. So, but if you're interested in that, we can get that information to you. Anything else, Ryan, I got here? So. Nope. Okay, cool. All right, well, I guess we'll get started here. Again, great turnout. Thank you all for letting us come here and shut down the road and make people upset. It's awesome. First one we'll talk about up there is a bird on a wire. Okay, I lovingly refer to that bird as Ray the Raven, because I'm a Steeler fan and I know what's going to happen to that bird here in a little bit. But how can that bird sit on that wire? Anybody know? One touching one conductor. Anybody else? It's not grounded. Okay. If you have parents out there, your kids probably ask you a million times, like my girls do every time I take them to school, how can those birds sit up on those wires, Dad, and not be electrocuted? You know, that's, you tell us all the time, Dad, 12,500 volts, 7,200 volts, some of our transmission lines, 69 kV lines. How can those birds sit up there and not be electrocuted? Well, the reason why is they're not grounded, okay? The flow of electricity they are the same consistency of that line up there. We can go up there and stand up there, okay? Because we are the same consistency as I'm sorry? It's not potential, it's consistent. I'm saying consistency. He's always judging me here. The same consistency of that line, that bird can sit on, and will just flow right through them. See, what's protecting our poles, see, the reason why we can come up and touch these poles that are around us are our insulators that are up on top, okay? It's protecting the flow of electricity, because where does electricity want to go? It wants to go to ground, okay? And that's what's protecting the flow of electricity. It allows the electricity to flow through the lines, bypassing, continuing on, and servicing the customers downrange. Okay, and those birds, they can sit up there all day long. Now the problem is, what happens out on our system and many systems is birds sit up there and they look over at the insulator and they see a bug. And when they see that bug, they want to have that bug for dinner. And when they decide to reach over and grab that bug, now they're grounded. So this first demonstration that we're going to show you is how wildlife affects our system and how our system reacts. Now you folks over on this side, it might be a little louder. So if you want to plug your ears. Are we hot? Okay.
Go ahead, you're good.
Yep. All right. All right, here we go. We're hot. Boom. That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah, you all right over there? All right. Boom. You get that? We get that big bang just like that. We get that big puff of smoke, and we get the call. You guys probably get the call just the same. Hey, power just went out. We just blew a transformer. Could you get the power company to come out here and replace the transformer? That's not what happened out on the system. What happened out on the system is inside one of our containers, we have fuses. And each fuse is doing its job protecting our transformers. Those fuses that we have in the chamber are anywhere from like $1 to $2 fuses. Those transformers that we have out on our system are anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Okay, so our crews get out there, they see what's left of Ray the Raven on the ground, right? And they realize that it's a quick refuse. Throw a new fuse in, put it up on, everybody's back into power. Okay, so next furry creature that we love to talk about is squirrels. We lovingly call this Stevie the squirrel. Squirrels, they do amazing thing out on our system. Okay, they run across our power lines. I'm sure you see them all the time. And they sit there and they chew on our wires. As you can see with this wire's been compromised. Okay, what did that? Sure, a squirrel. The funny thing about squirrels is if you see this clamp that Ray is sitting on, squirrels can chew through those clamps. They do amazing things to our system. They are, I think the stat was, they're 90% of the outages that we have due to wildlife are from squirrels out on our system. It's amazing. They'll just grab a nut, they'll run across our lines, and they'll sit up on top of our transformers. And if you notice, at both ends of our transformers on the front side, we have covers on them. They're wildlife covers, mainly because of squirrels. Okay, we even see black rat snakes up on the top of our transformers. They like the vibration of the pole, they slither up, and they sit up there. But the squirrels, they grab a nut, they jump up to the top of our transformers, and as they're sitting in there taking in the view, they relax that bushy tail. Now, if you look on the back side of our transformers, they're uncovered. And the top of those coverings are what we call hot bushings. Okay, and just like the bird, when that squirrel relaxes its tail across the hot bushing, it now grounds itself. So this next demonstration we're going to show you is how squirrels affect our system and how our system reacts. Ma'am, it's not going to be loud this time, okay? So just, you know, a little PG-13 over here. So we're hot. Boom. Same thing, clear? Same thing that happens. Okay, our crews get out, they find what's left of Stevie the squirrel. It's a quick refuse for our crews, and they're able to get everybody back into power. And that's how wildlife affects our systems out there. So, all right, next thing we're going to talk about is the trip saver. Okay, trip savers and vipers. Now, our first responders already know. So, how many times, if a storm comes through and you start, power comes in and out, how many times is it going to do that? 3 times, right? 3 times. It's going to do that because what it's doing out on our system is it's testing. So if a tree branch falls on our single phase and it's just sitting there in high winds, okay, it's going to test that. There's something going on there. And it's going to go back to our trip saver and test it once, twice. Okay, now if it's high winds and it's just a tree branch, it gets knocked off, 3rd time it tests, we're good, we're all right. But the problem is if something is bad on our system and when we do test it a 3rd time and it tests that it's bad, that line's going to come open. So this next demonstration is just going to show you how when storms, trees fall on our system and our system reacts, Ryan's going to take that tree branch and put it in between phase and neutral. If you can watch over here on the Dust of Dawn light, or we can just count the clicks. We're hot. 1, 2, 3. Clear. Then it pops open. Okay. Now, I always like to stress this to all our first responders or to anybody we do a presentation with. When we have our trip savers out here, this is basically the setup that you would see out where our trip saver's at. What's next door to it is a fuse. Okay, sometimes those fuses are in, sometimes they're open. Never assume that the power is out just because you saw that pop open. Okay, always assume it's energized until the power company gets there and tell you that it's out and grounded. All right, just make sure you're waiting for the power company to tell you that, because it does not matter if you see it's open until they tell you. All right. All right, Ryan's going to do a quick switch over, so that's going to give me the chance to talk to you about the dangers or the small amount of electricity it could take to harm you or even take your life. So how many qualified electrical workers do I have out there? Please no, nobody. Yes, all right, great. All right, those are my troublemakers. All right, he's smiling? Oh, okay, don't. Okay, you can walk. All right, so how many of us have changed an outlet in our house? Outlet, switch. Okay, none of you qualified. All right, okay. How many of you got banged or shocked when you did it? All right, okay, a bunch of dummies like me out there. All right, great. All right, now let's just say we'll take a dining room outlet, okay? Not much amperage on that, right? Probably what, 15 amp breaker in your panel box, okay? 15 amps, okay? You had 15 amps, those of you that got shocked, you had 15 amps enter your body, exit your body, and you lived a story to tell about it, okay? What if I told you it only takes 50 to 100 milliamps to stop the human heart if conditions are right? Okay, 15 amps you had enter your body. We had a homeowner tell us her husband was working on a dining room outlet. He was working on a dining room outlet hot. He went down, was changing the outlet out. Last thing she heard him say was, "Ow, I got shocked." He stood up, he took 2 steps towards the basement and fell over dead. Could not be revived. It's 15 amps. We all had 15 amps enter us, and we're still here, okay? But 50 to 100 milliamps. How do I put that in perspective? Who has kids out there? Let me see the kids, all right? Me and my lovely wife, I live down in Lancaster. Me and my lovely wife have 7 beautiful children, okay? We have like 30 night lights in my house, okay? Basically, the house just gets lit up at night. Mainly because I'm scared of the dark, but we have 7 kids. But what if I told you that little night light bulb only gives off about 55 milliamps? That little night light bulb, your Christmas light bulb, is enough. If conditions are right, it can enter your body, stop your human heart, take your life right then and there. Okay? 50 milliamps. Now, why do I tell you that? Because the next time you have to change an outlet, what are you going to do? You're going to go downstairs to your scary basement, through the boogeyman, past all the spider webs. You're going to go to your panel box. You're going to find the panel that says dining room. You're going to shut that right off. You're going to come back upstairs. You're going to take your handy dandy tester that you bought at your local hardware store, and you're going to stick it into the outlet. If it doesn't light up, you got the right one, right? You're good to go. Well, give me 1 second. Go into your next door room, living room, kitchen, test that outlet. Why do I want you to do that? Because I want you to test the tester. And also, are you going to trust the person that wrote dining room on your panel box downstairs? God, no, you're not. Because I wrote everything down on my panel box. My wife don't trust me at all. She's like, shut off everything. Because you want to make sure you're safe. You want to make sure you got the right one. Okay? I say this spiel all the time because I tell my kids about this all the time. And they're the annoying voice in my head anytime I do any electric work at my house. They're always like, Dad, did you test that? Dad, did you go to the panel box? Dad, did you make sure you grabbed your handy dandy tester and test that? Okay? So let me be that annoying voice in your head when you decide to do electric work. Because again, the guys tell me this after every one, men and women. They're like, oh, well, you know, I've gotten shocked a bunch of times and nothing ever happened to me. I'm still here. Only takes once. Only takes once. Okay? All right. Next thing we talk about are Mylar balloons. Okay? You go to your local fair. You know, we're at Bloom Fair every year. We're there the whole week. I'm sure if you guys come up there and see us, we're doing like 5-6 shows a day the whole week. But nowhere in the Bloom Fair will you find a Mylar balloon. Why? Because some Mylar balloons years ago got loose in the fair and they got up into their system. knocking out power to half of the, I think the east end of the Bloom Fair. And the Mylar balloon holds a special place in PP&L's heart as well, because not too long ago, they were having a party in Allentown. I think it was a gender reveal party, and they let some Mylar balloons go. Those balloons went up, and they had to come down somewhere. And they came down in one of our substations, destroying half of our substation, completely destroying it, shutting down half of Allentown of power, all because of the Mylar balloon. Okay, because they will conduct. And we talk about fairs and carnivals, and we're not picking on them, not at all. But if you go to a fair and carnival, when you buy that balloon, what do they give you with that balloon? Like 12-foot long string, right? And when you have that string and you give it to your kid, where do you put it? Around the kid's wrist, pound on your wrist after 4 seconds of the kid saying they don't want the balloon anymore? Or you put it around the stroller that you're pushing, and you're walking around having a good time, then you decide to eat. When you go up to the vendor, you buy something to eat, you walk around behind the vendors. If you ever walk around the vendors, look up at the service wire feeding them. They're just there so they can service the vendors, give them power, okay? If that wire is compromised with a pinhole, just a pinhole, okay, and that balloon touches it, can that conduct electricity around that balloon, down that string, to you or to your child? This next demonstration will show you. We're hot. Good, clear. 7,200 volts going around that balloon, down that string, to you or to your child. One of the amazing stories I heard when I first started here at PPL was our boss was heading up Route 61 in Berks County, and he saw a kite string from one phase across the southbound lane to the northbound lane off another phase, and then coming down. It was just a kite string over 2 phases across the road. Wasn't sparking, wasn't arcing, wasn't smoking. But he just didn't feel right about it. He stopped, he called for a crew. A crew came out and tested that kite string for 7,200 volts. Doesn't always have to spark or arc, okay? Just want to be safe around there. All right, human contact. Can't really see with the sun here, sorry, that's okay. So, human contact. We talked earlier about our old generator, and it was in our old trailer that was fed by a generator. Who owns a generator out there? Okay, a lot of folks, all right? Storms come through, power goes out everywhere. You know it's gonna be out for a while. You go and you grab your handy dandy generator, you bring it over to your house, and you get it all set up and you plug it in. Right before you fire it up, what must you do?
Open the main breaker.
Absolutely. Open your main breaker, okay? This is me and Ryan's night job, and then also during storms, we're assessors, so that means we go out, assess it when damages come through, storms come through. I can tell you last year, 7 times up in Pocono, I came up 7 times, homeowners were backfeeding our system, okay? Backfeeding our system, what means is, they plugged their generator in, fired it up, now they're sending generation power back out to our transformers. And now it's gonna work in the opposite direction. So now the power is going to go back into our generators, back out on our lines, firing our lines up to 7,200 volts. Because they did not shut off their main breaker. And that's why we always say, there's absolutely nothing you have in your possession that can keep you safe down power lines. Because you have no idea what your neighbor is doing a mile down the road. Did they fire up a generator that you didn't hear? Did they shut off their main breaker? And you reach down to grab that line, move it out of the way, you're gonna get to about right here, to that line. You're about right here. And then what's that line gonna do? It's gonna jump into your hand. What's your brain gonna tell your hand to do? Hold on. And you're not gonna be able to let go. And you're not gonna send enough fault current back to blow our fuse. And unfortunately, we all know what's gonna happen. Okay? Out and grounded, okay? Nothing from this presentation, nothing you have in your possession to allow you to go up and move a line, and make sure you're waiting for the power company to say that it's out and grounded. Because if you reach down, try to grab that line, move it out of your way. We use a hot dog to simulate the human finger. So here we go, we're hot. 7,200 volts. You're not going to be able to let go of that. On a hot, humid day, Ryan can pull that off there a good foot or two. No problem. Clear. No one can have that hot dog. That's dinner later for us, so sorry. Apologize. So, next thing we talk about are the leather gloves. Leather gloves are important to us, okay? If you can see, me and Ryan are both wearing leather gloves. And they serve one purpose for us and one purpose only. They protect our rubber gloves, okay? Because this is our PPE that keeps us safe. But what if I told you that a pinhole in my glove or my sleeve is enough to allow electric to get through to me, harming me or even taking my life? So much so that our PPE gets sent in every 3 months and it's tested at 15,000 volts for a pinhole, okay? In my gloves, my sleeves, and my boots. 15,000 volts every 3 months we're tested, okay? The leather glove, and now, like, again, I have a good story. Father-son twin team here. We rolled into a development. We saw father-son. Father's up on a ladder about 20 feet in the air, and he has leather gloves on, and he has one of our service lines in his hand, and he's kind of moving it out of the way as he's working up on the gutter. But what made it even better was he had his 12-year-old son down on the ground with a piece of 2x4 pushing the line out of Dad's way, wearing leather gloves. We walked up. We asked them what they were doing. Could they please stop? And he was like, no, we're fine. We're good. We got a pair of leather gloves on. They say electrically tested on them. This next demonstration will show you that electrically tested leather gloves will do nothing to protect you around electric lines. Get 7,200 volts. Leather glove will do nothing for you. Clear. Again, they do say electrically tested on them. We give it zero ability for you to go down and grab any line that's on the ground or up in the air. Because again, we'll do the hose. So, if this line is compromised, just by a pinhole, that leather glove will do nothing for you, okay? Next thing we like to talk about, obviously, is the fire hose. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the fire hose. And we talk about the fire hose a lot for one reason, okay? Because when you get the call, you go out to the scene, and you get out there with your trucks and you start unraveling your hoses. We always encourage and tell our first responders, look up, see where that electric line is feeding that house, okay? Why? Because we like to call something that's called a drop zone. Again, I'm not trying to tell you guys how to do your job, not by any means. I'm just trying to keep you safe, okay? So the reason why we call it the drop zone is that electric line's up there, that building's on fire. You got your hose right underneath there, okay? That fire's raging pretty good. Now the connections to the house, they're getting pretty bad. All of a sudden that line falls, lands right on your hose. What's that hose full of? Water. Pretty good conductor, right? Okay, that has happened 4 times last year. That has happened. Has landed directly on the hose. Three of those firemen were hurt. One was hurt bad enough that he had to be flown to Lehigh Valley Burn Center. Okay, so the reason why we call it the drop zone, and the reason why we suggest when you get there, okay, whoever the first one's on the scene before the trucks get there, figure out a great way of laying your hoses out away from the electric line, okay? Because the last thing we want to see is that electric line to come down, land on that hose, and one of the firemen are hurt, okay? So this next demonstration is just to show you just your basic fire hose, wet. We're hot. Clear. Again, not telling you how to do your job, just trying to keep you safe. If you ever see us working out on our overhead lines, see the bucket trucks up in the air, you will never see anybody below us, ever, because we call that the drop zone. Okay, in case we drop any of our tools that we're using up there, it could obviously harm somebody on the bottom. And we feel the same way about our first responders. Okay, we don't ever want to see anybody under an electric line going to a property, and all of a sudden that gives way. Next thing we're going to talk about is the ladder. If you saw our old trailer, on our old trailer, we had an aluminum ladder, which most of you have on your apparatuses, okay? Aluminum ladder, will that conduct? Yeah. Wood ladder, obviously. We got asked about the fiberglass ladder all the time. Well, fiberglass ladder won't conduct. Well, I'll challenge you. If you can go and find a fiberglass ladder with a sticker on it that says it's electrically tested, okay, Ryan will give you $2, all right? Okay, I bumped it up to $1. You know, I bumped it up from $1. Sorry, Ryan. So, nowhere on a fiberglass ladder will you find a sticker that says electrically tested. Okay, I've said that through a ton of presentations. And then I was at our center up in Allentown, and I saw a fiberglass ladder. It says electrically tested on it. Now, the difference between that ladder, you can see Ryan has been using fiberglass sticks for our presentation. Those fiberglass sticks, those ladders that are our shop, are cleaned daily. Our sticks are cleaned before and after every one of our presentations. And they're also tested every 3 months at 15,000 volts. For a pinhole, for a scuff, for a chunk that can harm that stick, that harm that ladder, that can harm us. Now, if you went and you bought a fiberglass ladder, go to your local hardware store, when you buy it, where do you throw that ladder into? Back of your pickup truck, right? Throw it in the back of your pickup, you drive it home, you take it out of your pickup truck, you throw it in your shed, your garage, you throw it up on some hooks, okay? At any point in time, did that ladder become gouged, grooved, or dirty? Compromising that ladder, okay? You go up on that ladder, 20 feet, you know, paint the house, clean the gutters. You get too close to our electric line. Anybody know the distance from our overhead secondary, single phase, 3-phase, you should be from? 10 feet. 10 feet away. Why? Because this line's compromised. Pinhole. Compromised. And you get that ladder too close, it arcs over to you on that ladder, you might not get electrocuted, but that arc could scare you. How far up on that ladder are you? 20 feet? That fall can't be good. What's below you? Concrete, blacktop? Okay? So we think about what we're doing when we're up there. Okay? Now, we talk about this a lot as well. If you ever have to go down, obviously you're going to go to a fire and you have to get your apparatus out there. If you have an aerial apparatus in the area, that aerial apparatus should never, ever, ever be between phase and neutral. Never. Okay? That has happened 3 times. 3 times by the same fire department. I will not throw them under the bus, Harrisburg City. But 3 times they did it. They put it between phase and neutral. 3 times. 1 time, it did arc over. And when it arced over, it destroyed a $1.5 million apparatus. Blew out the tires, destroyed all the hydraulics. Luckily, no one was playing with the levers or anything like that. No one was on the truck when it happened. But it arced over, destroyed that apparatus. Again and again, it did arc over again, injuring 2 firemen. It should never ever go between phase and neutral. You can go underneath. Obviously, you got your communication here. You can go underneath the communication. And if you ever have to go above and over our phases, again, 10 feet. We say it, 10 feet, and have a spotter making sure, because I imagine when you're going up and down that ladder, it's doing a lot of this, right? Doing a lot of that. 10 feet. And when you are using the hose and you got the water flowing, and when the fire's out and you're going to bring that back across, make sure you completely cut off the flow of water. Because if it's dripping, again, it has happened. If it's dripping and you bring it back across our phase, we talked about it earlier, water's a good conductor. It will go up and go on that ladder, conducting that ladder, because it has happened. And the firefighter that was up top was electrocuted. And the person that was down below doing the levers was electrocuted. Okay? So just be smart out there. Again, you're dealing with so much. This is just a little bit more information you can have. So this next demonstration is just to show you the fiberglass ladder will conduct. Just your basic fiberglass ladder, a little scuffed, We're hot. Again, nice hot humid day, right? Get that going right across. Clear. Do one underground? All right, underground. That's what me and Ryan do for the company. This, again, we call this our night job, but our day job is we deal with underground lines being damaged. We deal with all our contractors, and we deal with the special number that you must call because it is a law before you do any excavation. That number is? Come on, people. It's right in front of me here. Jeez. What number is that? 811. Now, listen, I always get a little pushback from this. If you're doing any mechanical digging, you should make sure you put a one call in. I'm going to tell you, if you're doing any digging whatsoever, you should place a one call. I don't care if you know where everything is on your property because you put it in, or your granddad put it in, or your uncle put it in, or your mom put it in. I do not care. If you're a homeowner, who's my homeowners out there? It's a free service for you. It's free. If you're the one doing the digging, you call 811. They'll come out. They'll paint your property. Okay, I bet my buddy, nowhere to lie, 20 bucks. He's just like, I built this house, I put my electric, I put my cable TV in, I know exactly where it's at. We took 10 minutes, we went outside, I won myself money. Why? Because he told me his line was right here. It was actually 8 foot over this way, was his electric line. Now, if he wouldn't have called 811 and went down and dug, could have been a scary thing. So if you're a homeowner and you're planning on doing any kind of digging, make sure you call 811. Now, if you hire a fence company and the fence company guy calls you and says, hey, could you kindly call 811 for us? Absolutely not. Whoever's performing the job at your property should have a one call. It's the law. Okay? Now, this next demonstration is going to show you that you decided not to call 811 because your uncle's best friend's friend told you that he knew where everything was, and he said, you can go ahead and put that tree right there, nothing's going to happen. We're hot. Then you go ahead and hit that line. Now you just blew the meter base. Frying that up pretty good. Clear. And the reason why we say that is because we're going to keep you safe. Now, you hit this line. Say this is the line going to your house. It's 120 volts that you just hit. Now, it just fired back to your meter base, destroying your meter base, possibly destroying your panel box. You didn't call 811. Now, who's going to fit the bill for that? You are. You're going to fit the bill for that. Not only that, what did I tell you before about this beautiful green box here that's on your property? Okay, what's on this side over here? Services. There's 9 services in there. If this fires back to this transformer, destroying this transformer, you're going to have 8 ticked off neighbors. Okay? That's if you survived. Because if you didn't, now your wife, your family's going to have to deal with that. So again, it's free. If you're a homeowner, it is free for you to call 811. Okay? You say you want to dig on a Saturday. You call on a Wednesday. Okay? They have 3 business days to get out to your property to paint your property. Okay? Red is electric, yellow is gas, green is sewer, blue is water, orange is communication. And before you do any digging on that Saturday, make sure you check your response. It's called the Carl response. Okay? It's going to give you what everybody did in that on your ticket of all your utilities. It's just going to keep you safe. All right? Make sure you're making that phone call. Last thing we talk about is the fireman's boot. And this is always my favorite time when I'm dealing with my volunteer firemen. How often do you guys get new turnout gear? Every 10 years. Normally I get a laugh. Nobody laughed. That's normally everybody like laughs and jokes, you know. So, but yeah, every 10 years, right? And how many car accidents, fires you've been to in those 10 years, right? And that's what we talk about all the time, because I have a lot of volunteer firemen come up to me and they're like, well, we're wearing rubber boots, you're wearing rubber boots, why can't I go up and move that line? What did I say about earlier about our PPE? Every 3 months, it's tested. 10 years, you've had your turnout gear. All those accidents, fires, storms that you've been to, do you think any point in time your boot got a little compromised? and all those times, and then that line's laying on the ground. PP&L said they'd be there in an hour. It's 3 hours. They still haven't shown up. Probably out there, somebody, you know, having a burger somewhere. And you're just like, screw it. I'm going to go up. I'm going to kick that line out of the way. Okay? It's not dancing. It's not moving. It's not doing anything. And you walk up and you go to kick that line. It could be the last kick you make. In hole. It's enough to electric flow through your body, harming you or even taking your life. It's like I mentioned to you earlier, and I said it 50 times. Out and grounded is the word you want to hear, and there's nothing in your possession that keep you safe down with down power lines. Okay? This next demonstration, just to show you your fireman's boot compromised. What's in your fireman's boot in the heel? Steel shank. Or hot. Clear? Awesome. All right, well that's it what we have for our trailer, but I do like to talk to you about one thing that's kind of important to us. We actually started a course up at, where's it, Penn Technology College? Yeah, Penn College. We're trying to get, we like to talk to our kids, mainly our kids. In driver's ed, what they don't talk about is car accidents, down power lines on cars, okay? I have a 16-year-old daughter. She's just learning how to drive. God love me. If you're in Lancaster area, watch yourself, okay? So, but I tell her all the time, I feel like all the kids should know this. We should know this as adults. If you're driving down the road and it's a stormy night, or you're just driving down the road, you and your wife or your girlfriend are out for a good night, and deer pops out in front of the road, you veer off, you hit a telephone pole, okay? What happens? Right, get an airbag to the face, get a little woozy. When you come to and you see power lines laying on your car, what's your first thought? Get out, right? Get out. They got power lines laying on my car. I got to get the heck out of here. And that's always the answer we get from our young kids. I got to get out of here. There's a down power line. Okay? I'm going to ask you another question. How many of us have been to a pond or a lake and have taken a rock and have thrown that rock in that pond or lake? Right? Pretty sure all of us. What do you get when that rock hits that lake? Ripples. Okay? When power lines are struck and they come down to the ground, they're letting out their own little ripples. We call it ground gradient. Okay? Problem is, you can't smell it, you can't see it. The moment those lines hit that ground, it's just sending out circles all around you. How far do they go? Can't really tell you. What's the shape of the highway you're on or the road you're on? What's in the highway? What's in the road? Okay? What's around you? Okay? So if you hit pole, you come to, you realize, well, I can't get out because there's lines on my car. Can we get you out? Absolutely we can. But here's the most important thing. If your car's not smoking, if it's not catching fire, stay in the vehicle. It's the safest place for you. You do not need to get out of the vehicle if it's not smoking or catching fire. And yes, you can use your cell phone. We always get asked, can I use my cell phone? 100% you can. Okay? Here's the problem. If it does start to smoke, if it does start to catch fire, can I get you out? We can. This is the safest way we know how. So if they take your car, hits a pole, lines are across the front of your car, across the passenger, driver's side, front seat. Well, we're gonna need to get you to the back seat. Okay? You need to access the safest door away from the down lines. Okay? You got to get to the safest door. If you have a 4-door vehicle, get to the back seat. Okay? You got to crawl to the back seat, get to the safest door. When you get to that door, you're going to open that door up and you're going to stand in the frame of the door. And it's important that you put your feet together and put your arms together. This is the safest way we know how. Why? Because you're going to have to make a jump. And if you have your arms at your side and you have your feet spread apart and you jump out of that car and you got a bum ankle or bum leg and you kind of lose balance, you're going to reach back. You're going to grab that car. Just like Ray, just like Steve, you grounded yourself, allowing electric to flow through you, possibly taking your life. Okay, so we're going to rewind and get back in the car. We're going to put our feet together. We're going to cross our arms. Now, I get asked a lot, if you've got a big souped up pickup truck, how do I, I'm what, however far up off the ground. Okay, if you have one of the foot bars, or if you have your tie, you can get over to it because you're of the same potential when you're in your vehicle. That's why it's the safest place for you to be. But you're gonna get to your frame of your car door, and you're gonna cross your arms and you're gonna make a jump. Now, listen, you don't have to set the long distance record about your jump here, okay? I just need to get you out of the car. So you're gonna cross your arms, you're gonna make that jump. You're out of the car. You're safe, you're good to go, you can run, right? Absolutely not, okay? Because we don't know what the conditions of the ground are. We have no idea what's in the road, okay? We tell you folks, if you hit this pole right here, we want you to get to the next pole safely. And how do I get you to that next pole safely if I can't make you run? There's two options, okay? First option is the bunny hop. I'm not doing the bunny hop in front of you people. I don't need you making fun of me, okay? Not doing it. Nope, not happening. Second thing is shuffling your feet. This is the safest way we know how to do it, okay? Ladies, if you're out on the town and you're wearing high heels, make sure you take them off before you make the jump, okay? And when you get outside, we're gonna shuffle our feet, okay? And how we're gonna do it is we're gonna go heel to toe, the whole way. Never ever taking your feet off the ground. Because if I go to take a step, okay? If I jump out of that car, my feet spread apart, I'm in two different rings, okay? I'm basically grounding myself out, allowing electric to flow through me, taking my life. So if you keep your feet together and you shuffle your feet heel to toe to the very next pole, because guess what? That's where you're gonna be. Because that's what we tell our first responders. Make sure you stay 100 feet away until the power company gets you and tell you that it's out and grounded. 100 feet, because you don't know the conditions that's going on out there. I tell a story because I was told this once. In Lebanon County, there was a volunteer fire company went out to a car accident. They got to the scene, there was down power lines. Okay, they got a little too close to the scene for our likings, but they were about, 50 feet away. They thought they were safe. They realized that the power was still live, wasn't out and grounded, power company wasn't there. One of the volunteer firemen who went there to save lives, to help out, went over, sat down on a metal guardrail and was electrocuted and died on the scene. Because you don't know what the conditions are going on down here. Guys, that fence, okay? It will just flow until it's out and grounded. Depends on how good the conductor is, how good the ground is, okay? Even street signs. Just stay clear of it all. Stay 100 feet away, wait till the power company gets there, tell you that it's out and grounded, okay? Now the one question we were asked a while ago was, what if the car catches fire and there's a family in there? The mom's screaming that they gotta get the kids out. Can I get in there and get them out? You can. We don't obviously want to see it happen, but we understand that that's what you want to do, because that's why you became a fireman. Same way in is the same way out. You're going to shuffle your feet, heel to toe, all the way to the car. Now, when you get to that vehicle, do not touch the vehicle, okay? Because again, you touch the vehicle, you ground out yourself. You have the person in the car hands you the child through the window. How do I get back? Well, you can do your best Michael Jackson impersonation, and you can just go heel to toe, moonwalk all the way back. Can't imagine it's going to be easy with all your gear on, but that's the safest way we know how to get you in and get you out safely until the power company gets there, okay? Listen, I can't thank you enough for having us out. You guys are a great audience. Any questions, thoughts? I appreciate no one laughing about calling me handsome. That's great. Thank you. I don't really get a lot of laughs about that. But thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Vipers are more part of our three-phase, like I mentioned earlier. They're part of our smart grid technology. They're pretty amazing things. Let's just say, for instance, tree comes down right here on our three-phase line, completely taken out. Once that tree hits, instantly the Vipers are talking to each other across the line. Okay? We have one Viper for every 500 customers out on our system. So the moment that tree comes down, our line is, they're gonna send all that information back to Allentown, to our hub office. And this is what we always tell our first responders, okay? If you're on site and you see that the tree came down, or you're there for a fire or an accident, and all of a sudden those lines do come down and they're just laying on the ground, and all of a sudden everybody loses power, and you think you're okay to go up and move those lines and get them out of the way? Absolutely not. And the reason why I say that is, especially on our three-phase, 12,500 volts. Okay, once those Vipers have talked to each other and sent the information back to Allentown, our operators are going to do one thing. They're going to test that line once, and you do not want to be anywhere near that line when it tests. Okay, if you've seen a line on the ground sparking and arcing, you understand what it can do to you. All right, so if there's anything during my presentation today, if there's anything you take away from today outside of how handsome I am, is there's nothing, absolutely nothing that you have in your possession that can keep you safe around down electric lines, okay? There's absolutely nothing you have in your possession, okay? We have PPE that keeps us safe. You look at Ryan here, he's got the rubber sleeves, rubber gloves, rubber overshoes, and we have FR clothing. That's what keeps our workers safe when they're working around electric devices, okay? You guys have nothing, all right? So just keep that in mind. Anytime you roll up to a site and you have to get a line moved or anything like that in a storm, please wait, okay? I tell the folks this all the time, okay? The best two words you want to hear from the electric contractor when they get there is out and grounded. Then that allows you to go up and move those lines and get them out of the way.